Count how many questions you got correctly, and now that you know that number, go to the back of the room and shred that piece of paper. You go, you shred that piece of paper, and I say, come back and tell me how many questions you got correctly.
So it's totally honor system.
Totally honor system, and you destroy the evidence. And people report on average 6 problems. Now, what people don't know in the experiment is that we played with a shredder. So the shredder only shred the sides of the page, but the main body of the page remained intact. We can jump in and find out how many questions people really solve. And on average, we find that people solve 4 and report 6. Lots of people cheat a little bit. Very few people cheat a lot. Lots and lots of people cheat by a few questions. Now, to test the group effect, we added 2 components. The first thing is we hired an acting student. And that acting student, 30 seconds into the experiment, raised their hand and said, I solved everything.
So he was obviously cheating.
Obviously. If you're in the experiment, you're still working on problem 1. You know that nobody have cheated, solved everything. And the second thing we did was we gave people all the money up front, and they paid themselves from an envelope. And the moment he raised his hand, the experimenter said, you know what? You solved everything. Take the envelope and go home. And now you see somebody cheats in an egregious way. What happened?
People copy him.
Lots of people copy them. Now, there's 2 ways to think about it. One way is to say, we just proved to people that in this experiment you can cheat and get away with it. The other thing is to say that in this demonstration, you told people that people like them from the same social group are cheating. So which one of those? We tested in a few ways, but one of them was we changed the outfit of the acting student. Everybody in the experiment was a Carnegie Mellon student. In the regular condition, the student wore Carnegie Mellon outfit. In the second experiment, he was wearing University of Pittsburgh sweatshirt. Now, when he was
teaching, he was from a different school. He's now not one of us.
That's right, and what's called an out group. Now, what happens when somebody from an out group cheats? Cheating actually went down. People say, oh, cheating is involved. And it's these other people that we don't like so much.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm not part of that. And people became more honest.
What else can we do to increase honesty? Your tests have found some things.
So we found a lovely thing, which we asked a group of about 500 students to try and recall the 10 Commandments. Sadly, none of them could recall all 10 Commandments, and some of them invented.
But they thought about the commandments.
They thought about it, and what happened afterward? When we gave them a chance to cheat in the same way, nobody did. It's not as if the people who remembered more commandments were different. No. The moment people thought about the 10 Commandments, they stopped cheating. Even if we take self-declared atheists and we get them to swear on the Bible, they stopped cheating.
Thinking about morality and honesty made people more honest.
Basically, for the moment, at least for a while, it gets you to be more restrictive in your own investigation of your own morality. You're a bit more vigilant about it, and therefore we behave better. That's one of the tricks, but I think we should do them more often.
Thank you, Dan O'Reilly. Coming up, more on what you think you know that isn't so. It's forest fire season. Fires are raging out west, destroying homes, vast sections of forest. Who leads the fight against these fires? The U.S. Forest Service. It spends billions fighting fires, often spraying chemicals right near the fire retardants that are supposed to slow its spread. Given that fighting these fires is what the Forest Service does, I would think they'd be careful to use the right flame retardant. But do they? The Forest Service is one more government bureaucracy, after all. How often does government adopt the latest techniques for anything? How often does government change at all? Not often. So I'm not surprised that Peter Cordani says he has a better flame retardant, one that's now used by more than 200 fire departments, but not the Forest Service. Ed Kleinman used to work for the Forest Service, but now he works for Peter. So, Peter, you're an inventor. You make soil enhancers, different.
Correct.
This is not your normal business.
No, all life-saving products we develop. We don't make luxuries. And we saw the need for it. And we're really the only product that works efficiently today. You know, unfortunately.
How'd you discover this?
About 10 years ago, I was just fooling around working on another project, and I stuck my hand in it, and that's how it came about. I put it on an ice cream stick. Florida,
well, you stuck your hand in it. It felt cool.
In a bucket. And then I showed it to some people, and I put it on an ice cream stick, and we tried to light it, and that's how it started. And it just went up from there. We started showing it to fire departments, different people that have the knowledge that I didn't have at the time of the fire. And they said, man, you may have hit upon something that's unbelievable.
And the fire departments, hundreds of them, have embraced it enthusiastically, and some government agencies.
Oh, yeah. It's very unique because you could use it direct impingement on a fire. You can cool a fire down. You can create a fire break. and they could be used for numerous other fires.
So, Ed, you work for the Forest Service. If this is better, and I say this because you brought some, let's play with it here. Let's show it, this goopy stuff here. If this is better, why wouldn't the Forest Service use it?
Basically, they're kind of stuck in the mold of using one product that they've used for about 50 years in the way that they've used it. And for one reason or another, they're slow to adapt to a product that is just obviously the better product.
This is half the price of any fire retardant currently being used. It's lighter, which is a big issue with the planes they fly overhead. But all right, here's what they say, the Forest Service. They don't want to use this stuff because they say it might evaporate by the time the fire gets there. What's your answer to that?
Well, that's kind of like trying to spray paint a lawn chair in the wind from 10 feet away, the way we're using the chemical now.
Forest Service says most wildfires are suppressed through indirect attack because they're too big. They emit too much heat for direct attack to be safe.
Well, a forest fire isn't like a avalanche or like a tsunami. It doesn't just move across the landscape. It consumes fuel in front of it, and it needs fuel available to it in order to propagate itself. And unfortunately, what happens is the fire will propagate itself by spotting out in front of itself, and this being able to work behind the fire and work on the heat is something that has always been done and is done by every other country in the world.
In New Mexico, we put 5 big fires out there with 300, 400 acres.
Some state, the U.S. Forest Service isn't using it, but some state governments.
Some state governments are starting to use it because they're finding it's the way to go. I mean, take a look at what's going on around us. We're losing a tremendous amount of homes and situations, and this product will protect those homes.
And you say this is so good that if I stick my hand in this thing, I could stick it in fire and I won't be burned.
Absolutely. Firefighters, people are trapped all the time in fires, so this is one product that you can coat them with to give the team minutes to get you out.
All right, so he says, I won't be hurt if I stick my hand in fire. My hand won't catch fire. Let's try it. Now, Fox won't let me try it here inside the studio for some reason. They don't trust me not to burn the place down. So if we're going to do this, we have to go outside. So let's go. And maybe I'll stick my hand in the fire after I coat myself with this. But let's run the test. We'll see if he's telling the truth. Okay. We're back outside my studio. The studio's right in there. Peter Cordani claims that his fire retardant, which the U.S. Forest Service won't use, is so good that when it's on my skin, I can stick my hand in here and I won't be hurt?
No, that's correct.
So what do? I just dip my hand in this scoop?
Yeah. Scoop it out.
Scoop it out and...
Keep your fingers tight together.
Okay. It's not, my hand isn't catching fire. It's creepy. All right, so you have a superior product, but the U.S. Forest Service doesn't use it. You would think that the government would use the best techniques and best product to fight fires, but what you think you know often is not so. And I've learned that repeatedly in my 40 years reporting. Often as I research things, I found that what I thought I knew isn't true. Other examples, for years the experts said we're running out of oil. But no, we're not. People told me premium gas is better for your car. That makes sense since it costs more, but it's not better. You're wasting your money unless you have a very unusual car. Everyone knows that cousins shouldn't and can't legally get married. Turns out that isn't true either. Cousins can legally marry in half the states. Everyone knows women are bad drivers, but where's the evidence? Turns out we men pay higher insurance rates because we are much more likely to crash. One more myth. Do we have a full moon tonight? No. Because police and hospital workers tell us when the moon's full, there are more accidents and more crime. Something about the full moon makes people crazy. But scientists looked at the data, and it turns out that's totally false, too. The cops think it's true because when there's lots happening and there's a full moon, they notice that. They remember the connection. When there's no full moon, you don't remember. There are so many myths and stupid things that people believe. I wrote a book about them, but I soon realized the biggest myth and the most dangerous one is that when we have problems, solutions most likely come from government. It's intuitive to think that the wise people in Washington and state capitals know more than we, therefore they should plan much of our lives. But it's not true. That's why I wrote my new book, No, They Can't. Because we, free people pursuing our own interests, are far more likely to solve problems. Government fails, but individuals succeed. Individuals, like Peter, individuals create prosperity if the politicians and bureaucrats will just get out of the way. That's our show. Thanks for not setting me on fire, and thank you for watching. Good night.